In 2005, a man in New York City was convicted of murder. But here's the thing, there was no body. No weapon. No witnesses. Not even a trace of blood. Still, the jury said he was guilty. And that's where the story gets strange. His name was Evan Brooks, a quiet janitor who worked the night shift at a midtown office building. Everyone described him the same way. Polite. Invisible. Harmless. The victim? Lydia Hayes, a corporate lawyer who vanished after leaving her office late one Friday night. She was last seen in the building's elevator around 10:43 p.m. Security footage showed her pressing floor 7. And then, nothing. She never made it out of the building. Police combed every floor. No signs of a struggle. No fingerprints. No hair. No DNA. Nothing. But someone noticed something odd. Evan had clocked out at exactly 10:46 p.m. just 3 minutes after Lydia was last seen. And when police searched his locker, they found something chilling. A single pearl earring. Lydia had been wearing a matching pair that night. That was all it took. No body. No blood. Just an earring. Detectives called it the smoking gun. Evan said he found it in the hallway and meant to turn it in. But the DA said it proved he'd taken something much darker. The trial was fast. The evidence was thin. And the public wanted someone to blame. So they got one. After just 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict. Guilty. Evan Brooks was sentenced to life in prison. But that's where the story should have ended. Except it didn't. Because a year later, something happened that made even the detectives question everything. A woman walked into a police station in Albany, New York. She looked tired, pale, and terrified. When she spoke, her voice shook. She said, "My name is Lydia Hayes." The same Lydia everyone believed was murdered by Evan Brooks. At first, the officer thought it was a prank. Until she produced an old driver's license. One that matched the missing lawyer's exact photo. Fingerprints? They matched. DNA? Matched again. It was her. Lydia Hayes was alive. The news exploded overnight. The murder victim returns from the dead. Reporters camped outside the police department. Social media went wild. And inside his prison cell, Evan Brooks just stared at the TV, silent, tears in his eyes. He'd spent 18 months locked up for killing someone who was still breathing. But here's where it gets even darker. When police tried to question Lydia, she refused to explain where she'd been. She said only one thing. "I can't talk about it. They'll find me." Then she asked for a lawyer. And vanished again the next day. No one saw her leave the police station. Security footage showed her walking down the hallway. And then disappearing behind a blind corner. The next frame? Empty. She was gone. The officer who'd interviewed her swore he heard someone else whispering in the room just before she vanished. But no one else was there. No footprints. No exit. No trace. Just an open window. And on the desk, a small pearl earring. Evan Brooks was released 2 weeks later. No apology. No explanation. The DA quietly dropped the charges. But the press wasn't done with him. Everyone wanted to know. If Lydia was alive, what really happened? And why was she so afraid? Evan didn't talk. He disappeared from New York completely. Moved somewhere upstate. Off the grid. But the strangest part? 6 months after his release, a body was found. In a lake near his new cabin. It was a woman. Same build as Lydia. Wearing a bracelet engraved with the name Hayes. But when investigators tried to identify her, the DNA results came back, inconclusive. It was almost a match. Almost. The lead detective, Sarah Kent, went back through the old files. Every tape. Every photo. And that's when she noticed something that made her blood run cold. The security footage of Lydia's last night in the building. The timestamp had been altered. And in one corner of the frame, just for a split second, a man's reflection appeared in the elevator mirror. It wasn't Evan Brooks. Kent enhanced the image. The man in the reflection looked older. Wore a dark cap. His eyes were visible for only one frame. But they looked familiar. Because Kent had seen those eyes before. In a photo from the same case file. A photo of the building's head of security. The same man who testified at Evan's trial. The same man who discovered the missing earring in his locker. His name? Alan Drexler. Detective Kent tried to track him down. But Drexler had retired, sold his home, and disappeared from every database a year earlier. No forwarding address. No phone. Nothing. When she called the number on his last employment record, a stranger answered and said, "There's no one here by that name." And yet, 3 nights later, Kent got a package. No return label. Inside was an old flash drive. She plugged it in. Only one video file. No title. No metadata. Just grainy footage of a basement room. Concrete walls. A chair. And someone tied to it. The figure lifted their head, bruised and barely breathing. It was Lydia Hayes. And behind the camera, a voice whispered, calm and deep, "She shouldn't have come back." The screen went black. And then, one final image flickered into view. A date. And an address. Detective Kent stared at it in horror. It was her own home address. A line of text that read, 11/09/42 Maple Lane. That was her home address. And tomorrow's date. Kent's hands trembled as she closed her laptop. She double-checked her locks. Set her service weapon beside her bed. But sleep never came. Because if someone could plant that footage, they could be watching her right now. By morning, she made a decision. She was done being a step behind. She was going to find out who Alan Drexler really was. Before he found her first. At the precinct, she brought the flash drive to IT for analysis. But just as the technician plugged it in, every file on the computer vanished. Screen black. Then a single message appeared. "Stop digging." The tech looked pale. "Whoever sent this," he said. "They're not some random psycho. This is professional. Military-grade encryption." Kent didn't respond. She already had her coat on. Because there was one place she hadn't checked. The old security room in the same building where Lydia vanished. The building had been shut down since the trial. Dark, dusty, forgotten. She forced the door open. The faint smell of bleach and mold hit her like a wall. Old monitors lined the wall. Most were shattered. But one still flickered. The same feed from a lobby, looping endlessly. And in the corner of that screen, she saw it again. The reflection. Alan Drexler. But this time, she noticed something new. He wasn't alone. Behind him stood another man. Face blurred, wearing a dark hoodie. And on his wrist, a tattoo. 2 intersecting circles. Kent leaned closer. Her pulse spiked. She'd seen that mark before. It was the same tattoo described in a federal database tied to a secretive group known as Project Gemini. The deeper she dug, the stranger it got. Project Gemini wasn't just a group, it was an experiment. A classified operation rumored to create duplicate identities for deep cover agents. New lives. New faces. Perfect copies. And one of their test subjects? A corporate lawyer named Lydia Hayes. Kent drove straight to Albany PD. She pulled every missing person report connected to the name Hayes. Buried deep in an archive file was something shocking. A photo dated 2 years before Lydia's disappearance. It showed 2 women side by side. Identical. Same face. Same smile. The caption read, Gemini subject 22A and 22B. Kent's stomach dropped. 2 Lydias. If that was true, then the woman who'd shown up at the police station, the one who said, "They'll find me," might not have been the real Lydia at all. Maybe she was the copy. The one who escaped. And maybe the real Lydia was still missing. But if Gemini was behind this, it meant the truth ran deeper than anyone imagined. So Kent did what she shouldn't. She went rogue. She called Evan Brooks. He answered on the 3rd ring, his voice low, wary. "I told you," he said, "I don't want anything to do with that case." Kent cut him off. "Someone's framing you again," she said. "And Lydia, she wasn't who we thought." Silence. Then, "Meet me at the cabin," he said. Midnight. By the time Kent arrived, fog blanketed the lake. The cabin's lights flickered weakly. She stepped inside. No sign of Evan. Just a faint hum. A generator running somewhere below. She followed the sound to a trapdoor under the rug. Wood creaked as she descended the narrow stairs. And what she found made her heart slam against her ribs. Dozens of monitors lined the walls, playing live feeds from hidden cameras. Footage of city streets. Police stations. Even her own apartment. And in the center of the room, a metal table. On it sat a file stamped Project Gemini, Termination. Kent flipped it open. Inside were photos of Lydia. And Evan. And herself. Next to her photo, a handwritten note. Subject 47, observation complete. She barely had time to process it when she heard footsteps above her. Then Evan's voice. Sarah? You shouldn't have come here. He looked different. Tired. Worn down. And scared. I didn't send that drive, he said quietly. They did. Who? She demanded. The same people who made her, he whispered. The same people who made me. The air went still. Kent stared at him. What are you talking about? Evan looked her dead in the eyes. You think I was framed, right? That I was just some janitor in the wrong place. He shook his head. I was part of it too. He reached into a drawer and pulled out a faded photo. 2 identical men in military uniforms. Both labeled Evan Brooks. They wiped me after the experiment, he said. Gave me a new life, new memories. But when Lydia disappeared, it all came back. She was my partner. Kent's breath caught. So the murder. He looked away. There was never a murder. There was a shutdown. Lydia found out what Gemini was really doing and tried to expose it. So they erased her. The copy they sent back? That wasn't her. That was the test. Kent pieced it together. Evan wasn't a killer. He was a pawn. Lydia wasn't a victim. She was an experiment. And Project Gemini was still running. Before she could respond, a sound echoed outside. Engines. At least 3 vehicles. Headlights cut through the fog. Figures stepped out, men in suits, guns drawn, no insignias. Evan whispered, they found us. He grabbed a hard drive from the desk and shoved it into Kent's hand. Take it. Everything's on here, proof, names, dates. What about you? She asked. He smiled faintly. I already died once. Then he pushed her toward the back exit as the front door exploded inward. Gunfire. Shouting. Smoke. Kent ran into the woods, clutching the drive like her life depended on it. Behind her, the cabin burned. And Evan Brooks was gone. By dawn, she was 60 miles away, parked outside an abandoned diner, laptop open. She plugged in the drive. It was encrypted, but inside were hundreds of files. Photos of duplicate faces. Birth certificates. Death certificates. Even government IDs, all duplicates. And buried in one folder, labeled Control, she found something that made her skin crawl. A scanned document. Signed by Alan Drexler. And co-signed by a familiar name. Deputy Director Henry Lowell, FBI. Kent sat back, shaking. Lowell was her boss's boss. The man who'd greenlit her entire department. If he was involved, this wasn't a rogue experiment. It was federal. She took the files straight to the press. But the moment she walked into the newsroom, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. One text. Wrong move, detective. Before she could react, her car outside exploded. Shards of glass rained down. Panic. Smoke. Reporters screamed. Kent dove behind a counter, coughing. Someone was silencing witnesses. She knew there was only one person left who could confirm the truth. Lydia Hayes. If she was still alive. Kent traced the last IP ping from the flash drive. It led to an address outside Syracuse. A private facility, supposedly shut down years ago. When she arrived, the gate was wide open. Inside, rows of abandoned labs stretched into the dark. She moved quietly, flashlight sweeping the halls. Then she froze. A faint sound echoed down the corridor. A woman's voice, humming softly. She followed it. And there, behind a glass wall, was Lydia Hayes. Or rather, 2 of her. One sat motionless, hooked to machines. The other stood nearby, expression blank, eyes flickering. The living one turned toward Kent. You shouldn't have come, she said. The same words from the video. Kent raised her weapon. Which one are you? The woman smiled faintly. The real one died years ago. Then she pointed behind Kent. Kent spun around. Alan Drexler stood there, gun in hand. He looked calm. Almost relieved. You were supposed to stop digging, he said. Kent kept her weapon up. You killed her. You framed Evan. He shook his head. You don't get it. Gemini wasn't about killing people. It was about replacing them. About perfection. Lydia was the first success. But she remembered too much. He stepped closer. So we had to start over. Kent fired first. One shot to the shoulder. Drexler fell, dropping the gun. She ran to the glass chamber, smashing the controls. The machines hissed. The restrained Lydia gasped for air. Kent pulled the wires free, dragging her out. The other Lydia backed away, face contorting in confusion. Then collapsed, motionless, like a puppet whose strings were cut. Sirens wailed in the distance. FBI units stormed the building, real ones this time. Kent had leaked the drive's contents hours earlier. The press had gone live. The world now knew about Project Gemini. Lowell was arrested before dawn. Alan Drexler died in custody 3 days later, officially suicide. Though no one believed it. And Evan Brooks? His name was cleared. Every trace of his false record erased. He disappeared again, but this time, on his own terms. As for Detective Sarah Kent, she testified before Congress, exposing Gemini's entire network. The duplicates were dismantled, the remaining subjects freed. Among them, the real Lydia Hayes, weak but alive, finally home. When Kent visited her months later, Lydia handed her something small. A pearl earring. The same one that started it all. "Keep it," Lydia said. Proof that truth doesn't die easily. The story dominated headlines for weeks. The scandal toppled careers. Laws changed. And for once, justice wasn't just delivered. It felt right. Because the innocent walked free. The guilty fell. And every secret they tried to bury was finally dragged into the light. In the end, Sarah Kent moved away from New York. No badges. No cases. Just peace. But sometimes, late at night, she swears she sees movement in her reflection. A second face. Just behind hers. Watching. Waiting. And smiling.